IRENA has been established for promoting the use of renewables. So we do providing our member states with all the knowledge product that we have concerning the costs, concerning installed capacity, concerning the jobs that could be created by investing in renewables, and also assessing the cost and the benefit of the energy transition. The trend is very clear. So the direction of travel, as we can say. So we are moving to a new energy system dominated by renewables, complemented by hydrogen, mainly green, and the sustainable use of biomass. We are moving from a centralized energy system based on fossil fuel to a decentralized one. This means that the structure, also the physical infrastructure, the logistic that serve the system should be renewed, strengthened, adapted to the new system that is coming. So we need more integration. We need grids that are interconnected, flexible, balanced. We need new trade routes. So also the activity in the port may be changing. So we have to adapt all the infrastructure with the reality. This is the first impeding barrier in our analysis. Then we have the legal and policy still looking in the past, subsidizing fossil fuel, permitting for renewables too long. All these aspects should be considered as demand. We have not the demand as we wish for hydrogen or for renewables. We have not still, I have to say, policy that may incentivize the speed that is needed, the deployment. And then third area is the institutional capacity. You know, institution has been, to say, designed also in a way to support the whole system, and the skills from the universities to the workforce. We need to renew the skills. A decentralized system doesn't rely on only one way to have electricity or energy. So if you want to make an example, unfortunately, that we are still living in it, is concerning the conflict in Ukraine, where the supply of gas has decreased dramatically. This is something that will not happen in the same scale in a possible conflict where you have a decentralized energy system in place, because there are many actors. So if a source is failing, you cannot go to another one. In our point of view, we see that there is still a different cost of money. It is very high, especially for developing countries, for supposed risk to be there. In our point of view, the main concern is the structural dimension of the problem. So we think that, especially in developing countries, we need to build and add the infrastructure. So companies, they are ready to go to Africa, but for producing electricity, they need to have someone that can buy the electricity, and they can have how to plug the electricity in the system. This was lacking, so there is a structural deficiencies. So we call for make possible this infrastructure to be there, and especially in the developing country, we think that we need the multilateral financial system to provide the funding, and so attracting also private capital to build the infrastructure that is needed. I never call for phasing out fossil fuel. So I read the interview that was, I think in some way also the word has been extracted, as far as I can understand from reading the newspaper. So it was not a complete dialogue. So the question, I think that we have to put that question in the right way. First of all, the IPCC report on the 1.5 doesn't call for phasing out oil and gas. Okay? So what is calling in the report is that we have to pick the use of oil and coal already in 2020, we should have done. And then we have to pick the use of gas in 2025. And then we have to decline the use of fossil fuel until we go to net zero. Net zero means that there is still a little bit of use of fossil fuel at that time, because the call for the triple comes from our analysis. That's better that I can explain what does it mean. It means that if we have to decrease the use of fossil fuel for not creating disruption in the market, we have to provide with something that may close the gap between supply and demand. This gap is fit by the 11 terawatt that we should be installed of renewable capacity by 2030. So that is the amount of clean energy that we need for closing the gap between supply and demand because of the decrease of fossil fuel, and at the same time be consistent with the goal of reducing the 43% emission by 2030 as has been requested by the IPCC. So this science, the IPCC is not requesting to phase out today fossil fuel. It's asking for having a decline, but the decline must be there and should be consistent with the objective to stay on the 1.5 pathway. So this is what IRENA can say. We never call for phasing out. We call for a phasing down that is consistent with the IPCC report. This means that at a certain moment you have to phase out the use of fossil fuel. So we've been seeing installing capacity growing dramatically in the Gulf from the scratch. I think we're 170, 175 megawatts in 2013, 2014 to 5.6 gigawatts today. But we see there are already in the pipeline the enlargement of some of the existing plants. They are building other. So still today, naturally, the reports say very clear that the share of renewables into the energy mix is still negligible in a year. But we see that it's been increasing. They are expanding. They are putting also regulation to facilitate more renewables into the grids. In the meantime, they are investing abroad, as has been done already from 15 years now.